places like, AP News, Al Jazeera, and I don't know, maybe they might have some substance there with Al Jazeera, but that's still going a bit too far.
Our world lead takes us to Israel and intense scenes this week as thousands of Israeli protesters flooded the streets of Israel, demanding the release of hostages still being held by Hamas terrorists in Gaza, burning tires and blocking highways, demonstrating their mounting anger over the lack of a deal to end the war and bring the hostages home.
Yeah.
I spoke with Israeli ambassador.
I mean, and here's the thing now. A lot of people don't know about the perspective of these the families of the hostages, but they do not like the carpet bombing of Gaza, the reckless bombing of Gaza. They don't like it, even with the tunnel excuse. They don't like it because they're like, okay, well, even if there's tunnels and you're trying to destroy these tunnels and with Hamas, and don't you think Hamas is moving with these hostages? So you just carpet bombing tunnels and all this, or carpet bombing Gaza, doesn't that just put the hostages in danger? Like, really think about that. So yeah, and that's what a lot of people are thinking. They're like, yeah, maybe this is why we call for a surgical strike, so you can actually get these hostages. Like, you've done this before. They've done a surgical strike to get hostages out before. So it's kind of crazy how they can't do it now, but hey, it is what it is.
To the United States, Michael Leiter, about why Israel has so far not accepted the latest ceasefire proposal. Ambassador Leiter, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. So we see a lot of Israelis clearly frustrated. We're told, and you correct me if I'm wrong with any of these assertions I'm about to make, that Hamas signed on to this ceasefire and hostage deal more than a week ago, put forward by the Qataris and the Egyptians. Yep. And we're told that it's largely in line with what Israel previously had agreed to.
I mean, bro, they literally broke these down. Bro, like I said, Israel completely dominated Hamas. Hamas is lost. They have no cards, honestly. And now they're just capitulating to all of Israel's demands. And Israel is like, whoa, wait, hold on. You're accepting those demands? Whoa, buddy. We thought, look, man, we painted you guys as these radical Islamists. We need you to play along with it. So we're going to deny this deal this overly favorable deal that we gave you. And we're just going to still move into Gaza. Like, just F it. I mean, I'm sorry, but like, look, bro, we painted you as these evil Muslims. We got to stick with the story. You guys are unreasonable, and you guys are trying to be reasonable. Like, what the hell?
So what is the holdup? And can you guarantee that the remaining 20 hostages who are still alive will come back to Israel soon?
Well, we can't guarantee that the 23 hostages will come back soon. They're being held by Hamas. We can guarantee that we're going to do everything in our power to get them out. We started this. There were 255 hostages being held by Hamas. Under Prime Minister Netanyahu's leadership, 205 have been released through negotiation and through military pressure. We've never achieved any release of hostages without military pressure alongside with negotiations. So this is under discussion. We're looking at what the possibilities are for a ceasefire, a temporary deal. But at the same time, it has to be very clear. This war ends when Hamas ends. We need to see this war end where Hamas is disarmed, where Gaza is demilitarized, and all of our hostages are out. None of this, as the president has said repeatedly, none of this drip drab kind of thing, a few hostages now, a few hostages later. If we are not careful, what's going to happen is we're going to get a few hostages out now, and we're never going to see the rest of the hostages again.
So the Arab League several weeks ago called for Hamas to surrender and to no longer be in charge of Gaza, right?
Yeah, they called for them to surrender, demilitarized. Egypt said that they would hold their weapons and all that good stuff. So yeah, the Arab nations did call on Hamas to demilitarize, which they are actually taking up on.
Whatever happened to that? Has there been sufficient pressure on Hamas from the Arab League to achieve that, to end this war?
Well, there was a great declaration by the Arab League, and I think that is a very positive development overall for the Middle East, which probably is a result of our taming and degrading Iran and the extremists in the Middle East. But no, they haven't applied the necessary pressure.
Okay, I knew it, because this guy said, oh, we were never able to get hostages back without a military intervention. I'm like, hold on now, or without a military escalation. I'm like, whoa, that's not true. I know the Iran hostage crisis, North Korea detentions, like we were able to get those off without having to put our boots on their neck.
Pressure, if they could. The interesting thing is that we've seen this before. We're both old enough to remember when we defeated the Palestine Liberation Organization in Lebanon in 1982-83, and Hamas's predecessor, Yasser Arafat, left. He laid down his arms and left by boat. This is the same thing that can happen today. Hamas has to leave. We're not going to go back to a situation like on October 6th when the country was being held hostage, We cannot have a situation.
I do admit Hamas does have to leave, but also Netanyahu has to get brought up on charges for actually supporting Hamas and funding Hamas over the Palestinian Authority as a way to destabilize Gaza. Like, he also got to get hit up on charges over that. I mean, that also got to be addressed, because Hamas is a very radicalized group, and they do need to get out of there. And they get sent into exile, and let's go ahead and give up the arms. So yeah, I definitely agree with them on that one. But BB definitely got to go ahead and get hit with those charges on funding them.
Where the country is being held hostage by jihadis living at our border.
But what is the holdup? Like, why? I mean, if this agreement, as we're told, basically is 98% of what Israel agreed to a month ago, and Hamas has agreed to it, why isn't this been agreed to so there can be a ceasefire?
Well, isn't this interesting? I mean, the answer is in your question itself.
The 2%.
If Israel agreed to it 2 months ago, what happened? Where was Hamas? Obviously, something's changed in the ingredients, and Hamas is moving in such a way so that they remain standing. Okay, they've reconstituted themselves through the lull in the fighting. They've reconstituted themselves.
Yeah.
They've moved up to 25, 30,000 fighters. They are now regrouped in an area of 25% of Gaza. And that's where the hostages are. And that remaining 25% has to be completely disarmed. We want to see Hamas out, because otherwise the country is going to go back in a situation where we're going to be held hostage again. We can't do that.
So Netanyahu, the prime minister.
Excuse me 1 second, Jay.
Yeah.
And and we all get that, but that doesn't explain what's going on in the West Bank, though. That's what kills me. Like, we get that. Like, we do understand that Hamas do need to leave, but I mean, what does that have to do with you guys pushing the Palestinians out the West Bank? Like, that's something that just does not make sense.
Situation when we were held hostage on October 6th, 1,200 of our people were slaughtered. We can't go back into that scenario.
I understand. Let me ask you about the horrific events. Prime Minister Netanyahu called the Gaza strike that killed 5 journalists. He called it a tragic mishap. You posted on Twitter, or X, quote, Dwight Eisenhower.
I don't know about that one. That was crazy, because they doubled back. Like, what was it? The drone that bombed those journalists, bro, it doubled back to make sure the job was done. I don't know about that on accident. It's crazy. And they've done it before. I mean, they've also let in an ambulance to try to get into some of these Palestinian victims that they claim were innocently shot because they weren't combatants, and it's a war crime to, shoot at civilians, which they did. And then they just said, oh, our bad, so we're going to go ahead and let this ambulance in. And then they bombed the ambulance. Yeah, I know, killing all the paramedics.
Said war is a grim, cruel business.
And then the little girl bleeds out to death. Yes, that is the end of that story.
A business justified only as a means of sustaining the forces of good against those of evil. War is especially grim when fighting a death cult like Hamas. But I do wonder, at this point, 18 months into it, with so much of Hamas degraded, so much of Gaza destroyed, so many unnecessary or so many tragic innocent people killed, the killing of journalists, the killing of aid workers, children starving to death. This is not what you are trying to achieve, you argue, but it is happening anyway. Is it worth it at this point? Are you not afraid of what Israel is doing, and also the status of Israel? Many supporters of Israel are worried that it's becoming a pariah.
Many supporters of Israel don't have to face what we face in the Middle East. Look, you got to ask yourself a question. A country that's capable of taking out the control of all of Iranian airspace in 72 hours, allowing for the B-2s of the United States to come in and obliterate the nuclear weapons operations in Iran, is not capable of ending this war sooner? Of course we are, but it's because we're taking precautions that no other country has ever taken. No other country has had to face a situation of 450 miles of terror tunnels under an area that's 24 miles long. We're dealing with a ghoulish, fiendish organization that's not only hiding behind civilians, but is using civilians as cannon fodder. They enjoy this. This is a death cult.
But here's the thing, though. The way y'all handle the Hezbollah, which is more, it's bigger than Hamas. I mean, has more military capability than Hamas. Y'all was able to do a strategic strike on them with like very few civilian casualties. I mean, what makes Gaza so different? Like, I just don't understand why they just went so. And in my opinion, they definitely did go overboard. I mean, 70% of Gaza destroyed. Like, what was it? About like over 100K Palestinians missing, but the confirmed death toll is 63,000. I mean, dog, like once the fog of war clear, I'm estimating there's probably going to be over 100,000 Palestinians killed, maybe more. I'm hoping not, but to be honest, like you can kind of paint these guys however you want, and I get that, but that doesn't excuse carpet bombing Gaza to get to the tunnels. That puts the civilians of Palestine in danger. That puts civilians of Gaza in danger, and that puts the Israeli hostages in danger. It just didn't make too much sense unless your objective was just to, well, take Gaza off the map.
This, you have to read their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're a death cult that appreciates the fact that people die, so they put them out in front. They want to see as many people die. By the way, the numbers that you're quoting are Hamas Ministry of Health numbers. I mean, that's like saying that MS-13 officials are issuing statements.
The only number I quoted was the 5 journalists.
Well, we're talking about, you said the many non-combatants, the many civilians. If
you wouldn't dispute that in 18 months, Israel has killed thousands of innocent people. I'm not saying you're trying to, but you have.
We're actually doing everything we can to avoid it, like no one else in the past has. And some experts actually say we have the lowest.
I don't know. Hold on now. I don't know about that. I mean, bombing hospitals, schools, what was it, Rafah, that Biden kind of condemned them on. They said you don't go into Rafah, let the civilians separate themselves from the combatants and let them go into Rafah. You bombed Rafah. So it's just like, I don't know about that, dog. There's a lot of ways you could have prevented this. I mean, a surgical strike also would have been nice as well. I mean, boots on the ground. You guys, like, you're doing it now. I mean, y'all guys could have did this at the beginning and had way less civilian casualties and at least be able to hone in on where Hamas is without taking out dozens of civilians.
It's too many. We want to end this war. Let's get this war over with. Put the pressure on Mr. Qatari, Mr. Egyptian. Come down and say to the Hamas, this is enough. Okay, get out of there. You're not going to get any more support. You have to understand that, Hamas leadership is sitting in Istanbul. Where the hell is Mr. Erdogan?
Whoa. No, Hamas leadership is dead. They're all dead. Actually, Hamas is like, they're in shambles. So you guys did your job. That's the problem. Everybody's looking at y'all. I was like, bro, you keep saying, oh, there are leaders in Istanbul and all. Bro, you killed them. Bro, y'all literally bombed one of them in Iran. Like, what are you talking about? Like, y'all killed them. Like, congrats. Y'all did y'all job. That's why everybody's looking at y'all crazy. Like, isn't this overkill? And then you're talking about Hamas leadership that you've already killed. Like, bro, 2 days ago, you've killed one of their spokesmen and / leader. I'm confused. Like, who else?
Why are Hamas leadership sitting in Qatar right now? Why is the international community not saying the leadership of Hamas is being closed?
Well, they're sitting in Qatar because we also sit there in Qatar with a military base. And I'm gonna be real with you. We sit there in Qatar because Qatar is the mediator between, well, Hamas and America and Israel as well. So us sitting here trying to blame Qatar, I don't really understand. Like, well, Qatar's housing Hamas. Yeah, to negotiate. I mean, we got to have a mediator because obviously we're not going to trust anybody else. Like, please name me somebody else.
Down, period. So they're there. They're leading this campaign of delegitimization of Israel. It's very PC now. Israel's responsible for genocide. Israel's responsible for apartheid. Israel kills children. Everybody kind of jumps on the bandwagon. We don't. We do everything we possibly can. My own son was killed because we do not kill innocent civilians. He went in on foot into Gaza and led the troops at the beginning of the war, was killed when he went into a Hamas booby trap. If we were doing what we're being accused of doing, okay, maybe he'd be alive today. And so many of our soldiers that have died are being alive today. And the demonstrations you showed are only half of the demonstrations. The other half of the demonstrations are families of soldiers who are saying to the prime minister, you have to end this war with a defeat of Hamas because otherwise we're going back to October 6th.
Before you go, Mr. Ambassador, the name of your fallen son?
Man, like I said, a lot of people don't know that the funding of these guys was by who? Bibi Netanyahu. So, I mean, that has to be addressed as well. Like, yo, what was you behind backing Hamas? Like, and if these is such a radical group, like, why did you fund them $1 billion? Like $1 billion? What you think they were going to do? Like, of course, there's Iran that's funding them. There's Qatar and there's other like enemies of Israel that's funding these guys. Why'd you add on to the pile? Like, that wasn't going to help. Like, I'm a bit confused.
Well, the world's leading genocide scholars associations say Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza. The group,
International Association of Genocide. So now we got the ICC who says it's a genocide. Now we got the International Association of Genocide Scholars saying that it's a genocide. And here's the thing, though. It's still going to be F these guys. That's going to be the hilarious part. When the ICC said it, I was like, well, damn, that's pretty serious. I mean, damn, international criminal courts. That you think that's serious. Not if you're Israel or America. It don't matter. I mean, if you're a superpower, F what the ICC says. Now, when scholars get together on genocide and they sit there and be like, okay, yeah, this is pretty bad. This is a genocide. I wonder what the excuse is now. Because, you know, ethnic cleansing, sure. But genocide, I mean, you know, according to the scholars, it's a confirmed.
Well, the world's leading genocide scholars associations say Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza. The group passed the resolution on Sunday, joining a chorus of countries, experts, and rights groups who say Israel's actions meet the United Nations definition of genocide. Israel's leaders have denied prior allegations of genocide. More than 63,000 people have been killed in Gaza, and famine is now gripping parts of the enclave due to a partial Israeli blockade. Meantime, a new aid flotilla attempted to set off from Barcelona on Sunday in what organizers say will be the largest attempt yet to break the siege. CNN's Jeremy Diamond joins us now live from Jerusalem. Jeremy, I want to start off with this flotilla, which we're seeing right now on screen. Could you, all right, actually, I want to talk about what we're hearing about this new allegation of genocide. And I think this is absolutely vital that we've been hearing that chorus from various organizations saying that Israel is committing genocide.
Yeah, because ethnic cleansing, displacement, and all that good stuff. I mean, that's what everybody was trying to say. You know, that's what even the pro-Israeli guys were trying to concede on. They was like, okay, man, we can get you on ethnic cleansing. But that's different than genocide. I mean, true. But I mean, look, man, when the scholars are saying it now, when the ICC try to build a case on you guys about it, I don't know what else to tell y'all. It's like, bro, what do you want me to do? Just close my eyes, ignore everybody, just to go like, oh, Israel is just such a great place. They cannot be committing a genocide. Like, now I ain't saying that Israel ain't a great place, but you're definitely committing a genocide.
What have you heard?
Yeah, well, if not a consensus, then certainly a growing chorus of voices across the spectrum who are saying that what Israel is carrying out in Gaza is not simply a war, but is also a genocide. This is now coming from the leading association representing genocide scholars around the world, with more than 600 members from multiple countries around the world. And what they have determined in this latest statement is that Israel's actions in Gaza have now, in their view, met the legal definition of genocide as enshrined in the United Nations Convention for the Protection and Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide. They also say that Israel's actions...
So, International Association of Genocide Scholars, like, you know, who the heck are they to decide this? I know that's what y'all are saying. Now, I know my pro-Israeli guys are going to like say, well, who the hell are they to decide this? And we're going to find out.
In Gaza constitute war crimes and crimes against humanity, and they are calling on Israel to cease all actions that meet these definitions of genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity. Of course, before this association of genocide scholars, we had heard individually from a number of genocide scholars, including one Israeli scholar of genocide who wrote a very poignant and impactful op-ed in the New York Times just a couple of months ago. We've also seen two Israeli leading human rights organizations say that they now believe that genocide is indeed being carried out in the Gaza Strip. Now, the Israeli government, for its part, adamantly rejects any notion that it is carrying.
All right, so they do got their own website. All right, that's cool. So they got their own little website, so you can pretty much go on the website and see what they on. But I don't know. Let's take a look at these guys. All right, so here it is. These people here. International Association of Genocide Scholars. And I'm pretty sure this is about, well, okay, I remember this. All right, here in the International Association of Genocide Scholars, a global, interdisciplinary, nonpartisan organization that seeks to further research and teachings about the nature, causes, and consequences of genocide, advanced policy studies on genocide prevention. I mean, well. So all right, they got their little thing over here. How long have they been out, though? Which I'm wondering. But all right, now you can go ahead and take a read at this if you want to. But at least I just have to go ahead and give you the source of this to wonder who the heck are these guys. That's pretty much just deeming that Israel is committing a genocide.
Out a genocide in Gaza, insisting that all of its actions in Gaza are consistent with its military campaign against the militant group Hamas in response for its attack on Israel on October 7th. We do know, of course, that 63,000 plus people have now been killed in Gaza, a majority of whom are women and children, according to the Palestinian Ministry of Health there. And as we are seeing this latest declaration assessment from this group of scholars of genocide in Gaza, we are watching the next phases of this war in the Gaza Strip as Israel is intensifying its attacks on Gaza City ahead of a planned full-scale invasion of that city. Those attacks indeed intensifying both bombardment from the air as well as artillery strikes that have killed 135 people at least since just this past Friday. And once again, among the dead and the injured, we are seeing scenes of children as we do all too often in the past. What we are also seeing, Eleni, are scenes of thousands of people beginning to flee Gaza City. It still represents just a small fraction of that city's population of nearly 1 million people, but it is a harbinger of what is likely to come. As thousands begin to flee now, nearly 1 million people are now at risk of forced displacement, according
to... so funny, though. The International Association of genocide scholars, it really don't matter because the reality is that, well, you guys will just call each and every scholar on there anti-Semitic. So, I mean, when you guys can just call anybody anti-Semitic who disagrees with Israel, it's kind of, or, well, it's calling Israel out on their war crimes. It is a bit crazy. It's like, well, I guess all those scholars are anti-Semitic, even though they're the same scholars who was studying the Holocaust and all that good stuff, look deep dived into it, discover the policies and all this good stuff. But hey, what do they know? What do they know? They've just been studying every genocide throughout history, but what do they know?
To the United Nations, and all of this, of course, expected to worsen the humanitarian situation in Gaza, as Israel has now ended the aid drops over Gaza City, as well as those 10 hours per day tactical pauses that were allowing for humanitarian aid to begin to flow into that city. Eleni.
All right, Jeremy Diamond, thank you so much for that update. Well, the Trump administration is crafting a sweeping post-war redevelopment plan for Gaza. This is according to the Washington Post. The goal is to turn Gaza into a trusteeship administered by the United States for at least 10 years, while it's transformed into what's described as a gleaming tourism resort and high-tech manufacturing and technology hub. A 38-page prospectus viewed by the Post calls...
If they really do that, I would advise none of you to go to that. Do not go to the Gaza resorts. If we actually do that, I will tell you right now, there's probably two things you'll be dealing with. You'll be dealing with, ghost of the, probably dealing with some ghosts. I mean, can you imagine dealing with Hamas or Palestinian ghosts? Like, come on, you really want to deal with that while vacationing? And then second, probably another 9/11 in that Gaza territory. I mean, you think we're just gonna be able to push all these people out, kill hundreds of thousands of their citizens, and then they're just going to be okay with that as we build resorts on their land? Okay, go ahead and take that risk, man. But if you go on that land, you are a bold person. I'm just going to say that right now. You are a real risk taker, because nope.
For the relocation of Gaza's entire population of more than 2 million people. Palestinians who depart voluntarily would receive a $5,000 cash payment and subsidies to cover 4 years of rent elsewhere and 1 year of food. Now, those who stay would be sent to restricted, secured zones inside the enclave.
Yep. So voluntarily relocation of 2 million Palestinians. Pretty much displacement, 5,000 cash payouts, rent and food subsidies. Whoa, wait. Why we gotta pay it? They did it. Whoa, like we paying reparations for these people. Nah. Even though I'm somewhat okay with it, but no, Israel should be paying reparations then. Like, they're the ones who did it. But I mean, what? Because we're gonna benefit off it? No, let them pay for that. Well, let's see. Non-volunteers sent to redistrict zones. All right, so the guys are going to be get a little rowdy.
The U.S. State Department has instructed its overseas diplomats to refuse visas for most Palestinian Authority passport holders. Now, that's according to a cable seen by CNN. The policy is one of a slew of actions taken by the Trump administration to block Palestinians from entering the United States and could impact Palestinian representation at the United Nations General Assembly later this month. CNN State Department reporter Jennifer Hansler joins us now.
barely had
Jennifer,
any
what
in
are
the
the
first
details
place.
have you learned about these new restrictions?
Well, Eleni, these are really sweeping restrictions that are laid out in this cable from August 18th. This applies to, quote, all otherwise eligible Palestinian Authority passport holders who are seeking non-immigrant visas. So that could be a population in the West Bank, in Gaza, even abroad, who holds a Palestinian Authority passport. And the non-immigrant visa category is really large. This includes student visas, academic visas, people coming on business, tourist visas, people seeking medical attention. Now, this is, of course, among a number of actions we've seen from the Trump administration that is blocking Palestinians from coming to the United States. On August 16th, the State Department announced on X that they were suspending, quote, all visitor visas for individuals from Gaza pending some sort of security review of how those visas were issued and the organizations that helped bring Palestinians here to the U.S., mostly for medical treatment, I should add. And then on Friday, they announced that they were denying and revoking visas for officials from the Palestinian Authority as well as the Palestine Liberation Organization ahead of the UN General Assembly just in a few weeks in New York. A State Department official confirms,
which a lot of people criticize, even on the right, because it was like, whoa. I mean, I get we don't like Hamas, but I thought the Palestinian local authorities, I thought we were trying to put those guys in power because we was cool with them. I mean, well, whoa, what's going on here? So yeah, kind of got everybody in the mix up when they did that one. All right, now let's go to Sidney McCain on what she's seen in Gaza.
Israel is cutting back on aid into Gaza this weekend as it gears up for a new assault to fully capture Gaza City. My next guest was just there trying to help the people who are facing a famine. Joining me now is Executive Director of the World Food Program, Ambassador Cindy McCain. Ambassador, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
And you just got back from a trip to the Gaza Strip. Can you tell us what you saw?
Well, I saw, as you can imagine, a lot of destruction. I saw a lot of very evident hunger. I saw people on the move in both directions, people trying to get out of the way of what was coming next. And it was I came in, I want to specify how I came in though. I came in through Kisafim Gate, down to Dar al-Balah, to Khan Yunis, and then came out through Kerem Shalom. So it was kind of an L-shaped route that we took. I had the opportunity, I will say, to meet a family that was in Dar al-Balah, and they had come from the north, and there were 11 of them. And they had part of their belongings that they brought with them were pictures of their family. The family was sitting in front of me, and I couldn't even recognize the family from when they were, the healthy pictures that they took prior to coming down, and then now what was evident in front of me. There was also a small child in the group that had suffered a shrapnel hit in his head. And so they were dealing not only with hunger, but they were dealing with injuries.
Yeah, and that's the story of so many families, as we are now aware. On Friday, Israel announced that it is ending its daytime pauses in fighting, which had allowed that modest increase in aid getting into Gaza City recently. If Israel goes ahead with its planned full-scale invasion of Gaza City, how is that going to impact the flow of humanitarian aid?
Well, it will make it a whole lot more difficult than it already is. What we've been asking for all along is a ceasefire and allow us to get in at scale, unfettered and safely. As you know, humanitarian aid workers have been targets recently. And so in our opinion, it's really important to keep those three things in mind. But we need to get in. If we can flood that area with food, it's a full surge of food going in there, we can really make a difference. And that's really what we need to be doing right now.
After you warned that Gaza is at a breaking point and that families there are starving, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office accused you of, quote, blaming Israel with false accusations. Quote, she said that during her recent
I
visit to
mean,
Gaza.
that's the problem, though. It's like anybody who kind of brings light to Israel is anti-Semitic. They're lying. Propaganda is like at a certain point, even guys in the chat, I'm ignoring some of y'all because just like, come on now. You guys literally parrot what the mainstream media is telling you to say in defense of Israel. Like, it don't get no better than that when you guys are literally parroting what mainstream media is telling you. I'm keeping it even here. I'm not even on the Hamas is good, Palestine river to the sea. I'm not even doing that. I don't believe in that. But I do believe that that they should be following the Geneva Convention, that they are committing war crimes. Any person who has a real sense, who's not honestly propagandized for Israel, will see that yes, this is a genocide. Yes, they've did war crimes. This is not. You cannot say, oh, this is war, because obviously you don't know what World War II was about, and you don't know what the Geneva Convention was about either. Where we're supposed to be past this. Actually, we followed these rules of war a lot of times. But all of a sudden, Israel does it and it's okay. And then, oh, what? Just on the premise of F Muslims? It's like, what?
She saw a dramatic improvement. Food was available, prices had dropped, and markets showed goods in sufficient supply and at affordable prices. It is regrettable that Mrs. McCain has since issued statements contradicting what she told us in Jerusalem.
Think about it like this. ICC. Oh, who cares about what the ICC says? International Association of Genocidal Scholars. Well, what do they align with? They're all anti-Semitic anyway. Okay. I mean, Sidney McCain. Well, she's spreading propaganda and it's not really true. And while everybody who says anything bad about Israel, even those who were supporting Israel, like Piers Morgan in the beginning, you guys have turned against. Bro, Piers Morgan's on y'all side and now he's not. And that can't trigger nothing in your head? And you tell me you're not propagandized when a guy who was going for you guys have flipped the switch and was like, oh yeah, this is a genocide. And now you guys can't even do it. Like, I don't know anything more brainwashed than that.
That is a misrepresentation. Israel is enabling a steady flow of aid in sufficient quantities. What is your response to that?
Did everybody
I disagree. That's not what was going on there. We did talk about the markets, what was occurring on the markets, a more sufficient amount of food that was coming in, not sufficient, but a little bit better amount of food coming in. That's a very true statement that more is coming in, but it's not nearly enough. People are hungry. There's been famine introduced in one part of the country. This is really at a critical phase right now. We need to get in, and famine and malnourishment both. It's not just about food. It's about water. It's about medicine. It's about a steady flow of.
That's already been explained, how they be giving these guys food that require water with no water.
Fish and other kinds of foods that are the high energy stuff for infants. I mean, this is a lot of. It's more than just one item that needs to go in there in terms of food. Of course, is very important, but again, I really implore everyone. We need to get in at scale and make sure that we can do it in a safe manner. I also had the opportunity to meet with some hostage families, and what they brought up to me, I mean, aside from the obvious, the stress and the danger and everything that they're very concerned about as mothers, and I feel the same. I mean, I'm a mother. I can't imagine having a child in that situation. But more importantly, the hostages aren't getting fed either, and so it's a double whammy every place you look. So it really is time for us to be able to get in, and I implore the world to help make that happen.
President Trump said last month that Netanyahu needs to, quote, finish the job against Hamas. And he's also talking about clearing out and developing Gaza. What would that mean for Palestinians living there?
Well, right now, I can only speak for right now. I mean, it's devastation. Palestinians have no place to go. There's, you can imagine it's a war zone. But again, we need to start with the basics, and that's food and water.
He said GPS on the food for Palestine. 2 birds, 1 stone. Now that's facts, though. You would think they would start GPS tracking where these trucks are going, where the food's going to be like, all right, it got to the people. It got to the people. But with the Gaza Health Ministries even said that, well, Hamas steals like 1% of the aid. Yeah, I mean, 1% of the aid gets stolen from Hamas. And here's the thing, like I said, though, is some of these, they are getting food, but it's not enough, and it's not being driven in enough. So that's why they're saying there's an intentional starving of the people of Gaza. Now, am I all the way there with it? Nah, not really. Not really, because they are getting food, but it is not enough, and they are being done dirty. I mean, how you gonna give somebody some meals that you need water for, and they ain't got no water? And then y'all pretty much destroyed their water supply and their water system. So I mean, like, damn, at least I could have done was give them some water.
Those are the things that need to go in now.
When you were speaking to Palestinians in Gaza, what did they say to you about Hamas? And do they blame Hamas for starting the war?
You know, the Palestinians that I spoke to didn't even mention Hamas, to be very honest with you. They're more concerned about food and medicine in a couple of
how can you be concerned about what Hamas is doing when, you know, you got family members dead, you got to try to feed your kids who's starving? I mean, trust me, I'm pretty sure that's the last thing on their mind. Sadly is Hamas.
Cases. I also visited a health clinic. And in the health clinic, I saw mothers, lactating mothers, pregnant mothers with their infants, et cetera. And there's, as you can imagine, it's a devastating scene to watch because they're so malnourished and so desperate that it calls for, as I keep saying, we need to get in and feed. I think the other thing to remember too is that unless we can get to those who are the most helpless, and like that health clinic that I was in, we're not going to be able to save a lot of people if we don't. We've been able to get in a little bit, as I've said, but we still need to do it, and we need to get.
All right, so even she says we're only able to get in a little bit. Even they're saying we're only able to get in a little bit, and she's on the ground right there in Gaza.
Further in, I need more routes to be able to get in, not just the same 2 roads that we've been able to use. We need more routes. And of course, we need safe access.
I mean, here's the thing. We've had an army. We'd have nuns, army vets, ex-Green Berets come out against Israel and tell them that they're starving the children. And then what do y'all say then? Oh, Hamas supporter. What? Oh, an army vet? Dang, man, that's crazy. But, hey, like I said, I'm going to keep showing it. But I always do say I show the message just because it needs to get out there. But at a certain point, I do know there are certain people that no matter what you show them, they will never believe what's going on. Or they'll just try to skirt it in some way, or they'll try to dehumanize a group of people to make it make sense.
We have Mike Sorelli here. He's a retired Navy SEAL and the host of Unsung Arlington on Fox Nation. Sir, thank you, of course, for your service and also for being with us today on this Labor Day. I want to start with what's about to happen in Gaza City, as the IDF is urging the civilian population to.
Bro, I'm sorry, though. Israel just bombed Yemen. What are you talking about? Israel just killed Yemen's prime minister and all of their cabinet members. And I'm like, and what you want me to do? Complain about that? You want me to complain about how Israel just took out guys that shoot missiles at them all the time? Like, what? And then here you're trying to say that, oh, no Jews. A bunch of Jews just bombed their whole leadership. Like, what? Oh, man, bro, sit in timeout for that one.
To essentially get out of the way.
I let you talk.
Many of those people in Gaza have already relocated multiple times. And the IDF now facing challenges with getting that population to move. But the president has said that this may be, this is a final effort. We're getting to the closing days, perhaps. Your thoughts on this big effort moving into Gaza City?
Well, first, I'll start with the removal of Abu Abeda, who was the spokesman for the Qassam brigades, which is removing the mouthpiece of the Hamas militant wing. So that is a victory in the information war. It will quiet them for a short period of time, but Israel has long lost this information war pretty much from the start. The plans with this great trust are very interesting. It's almost like an idea mixed with urban planning. However, it will create outrage not only amongst the EU, the Arab League, and internationally the UN. It's going to be met with resistance both legally and just, again, losing the information war. But it does have merit in bringing, let's say, stability, westernization, and modernization to the area. But you've got to feel for these Palestinians who have been displaced, as you just said, multiple times, and yet are going to be displaced again. This has been a long war approaching 2 years. And potentially more brutal urban warfare to come. I want to touch on both of those things you just talked about, both the end to this strike and the information war that has just been won. We have the Minister of Defense, Israel Katz. He put this on X recently. Hamas terror spokesperson Abu Baida was eliminated in Gaza and sent to meet all the liquidated members of the axis of evil from Iran, Gaza, Lebanon, and Yemen in the bottom of hell. Congratulations to the IDF, and should bet for the flawless execution. Soon, with the intensification of the campaign in Gaza, many more of his criminal partners, Hamas murderers and rapists, will join him there. So that's another message in this information war. The IDF, the Israelis, warning Hamas that continues to cling to power there on the ground, that the strikes are coming.
Yeah.
It is. And you've got to hand it to Israel. They have surgically decimated Hamas in the leadership, from their intel wings to their militant, brigades to even their
surgically decimated. I mean, decimated for sure. Surgically, no.
Spokesman. And they're going to continue to do so. Israel is deaf to the global outrage. Again, you've got to have some empathy for Israel, who's been under decades, centuries, the Jewish people of violence at the hands of Hamas, Palestinians, Arabs. So, they are going to see this through to the end. The world doesn't understand that. I understand the cries for Palestinian statehood.
That was some wild rhetoric right there. Now, Hamas, Palestinians, Arabs, bro, did you just hear the type of bigotry language that dude just used? Like, wait, whoa, dog. You peel it back a little bit, JG. Hamas, let's leave it at that. When you try to say Palestinian, now you're trying to say, oh, well, now it's okay to kill all Palestinians because what? Of Hamas? Of what one group of people did? One organization, one terrorist organization. Now we're just going to spend all Palestinians and then Arabs. That's some dangerous rhetoric, my friend. And I hope a lot of y'all don't pick that one up. That is crazy.
But it's a very different reality for Israel. And they've come to the realization, and they're going to see it through, that they need 100% control of Gaza.
And the other important topic we're talking about, this great trust proposal. It's a 38-page prospectus, as seen by the Washington Post. Let's delve into a little bit of what the plan may vary.
I think it's all wild. It's like, so what, you just don't want to talk about how Israel was created by the fact that they had to kick the Palestinians off their land, and ever since then it's been beef. Like, let's be real. You can't say that, oh, they just hate the Jews for no reason. You can't just say that. That'd be historically incorrect. You can't just start this off on October 7th. You got to start this off on 1948.
Very well entail. It would place this enclave, Gaza.
Really, both sides have been terrorizing each other, to be quite fair. Both sides. And honestly, Israel's been the biggest aggressor in the entire situation. So I'm sorry, but I'm not just going to sit here and say, oh, it's all the Arabs, the Muslims, the Palestinians. No, it's not. It's just Hamas. That's it.
Under U.S.-run trusteeship for roughly 10 years, the enclave would be rebuilt into, hopefully, a tourism, tech manufacturing hub. Palestinians would be encouraged to relocate outside of the Strip. The Great Trust, it stands for Gaza Reconstruction, Economic Acceleration, and Transformation Trust. What do you make of this effort, this new focus or expanding focus on what comes next?
So this is interesting. Even Boston Consulting Group was employed. They have hence fired the partners that were involved in coming up with the financial models. What this entailed is that there was actually no U.S. funding, that it was going to be an economic investment deal. But here's where I think we went wrong. From the conception of the idea, it shouldn't have only been the U.S. and Israel. They should have included Egypt, Jordan, and the Gulf cooperation states. You need an Arab front door, not a side entrance. And so what they're going to run into in terms of resistance, not only global outrage, is they need the Arab states to buy in and understand that this will westernize, modernize, and stabilize the Middle East and push them towards becoming a technology hub, much like Saudi Arabia with their 2030 vision plan is already doing. So, what I think is going to be the key fight here is whether it's voluntary or forced displacement of these people. And there's no way to window dress this. If we're forcing Palestinians in some of the states that have been recommended, or Indonesia, African states, of pushing Palestinians to those locations, it's going to be met with outrage. I believe the idea has merit. It's just they are going to have to do a good job on the information campaign with this.
Yeah, because this will be what you call collective punishment. This is the war crime. This is definitely collective punishment. You're punishing the entire people for what a group of people did. So is Hamas the entire Palestinian people? No, it's not. I mean, it'd be idiotic to say so. So to punish all the Palestinians saying, hey, all y'all got to leave off y'all land is collective punishment.
Arab states involved and signed off in order to sell this to the world.
But I mean, hey, look, man, if you're America or a superpower, I mean, I guess you can do whatever you want.
Really, thank you. Some exceptional points. We greatly appreciate your insights. Thank you for joining us on this Labor Day. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Happy Labor Day. Thanks.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here.
But, man, well, at least we got that over with, man. I'll tell you this. I don't really like covering the Israel-Hamas situation because, you know, it's the time that I would say MAGA just don't get it. I just don't get it, bro. I just don't get it. That's one side I do ding my side on. I'm like, dog, when it comes to this, it's like, y'all just don't get it. It's like, y'all try to create every excuse for it in the world, and I just cannot imagine creating an excuse for killing women and children, because if it was anybody else, y'all wouldn't be having these excuses. But I mean, when we just have this hatred towards Muslims that I honestly don't understand, but when we have a hatred towards Muslims, oh yeah, I do. When that's manufactured, I kind of get why we're here. I get it.
Trump tone.
But all right, guys, let's get into crime. I know, right? Something a little bit less serious. You know, genocide. Let's step down from genocide and let's get to U.S. crime in Chicago. All right, guys, let's go.
In Chicago, Labor Day protests take on an anti-Trump tone as the city braces for a federal immigration crackdown expected to begin in the coming days.
No federal troops in the city of Chicago. No militarized force in the city of Chicago. We're going to defend our democracy in the city of Chicago.
Now, that is Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. Over the weekend, he signed an executive order affirming local control of the city's police and instructing them not to cooperate with federal officials on law enforcement or immigration matters. Multiple sources familiar with the planning of this operation tell CNN it's expected to begin by Friday. And the National Guard troops could
I'm sorry, bro, but that was hilarious. He's like, you know, I don't hate Christianity. I just hate the ideology of Christians and Jesus Christ. Like, bro, what? What? All right. See,
and as that happens, a separate immigration fight is playing out in the nation's courts. On Sunday, a federal judge temporarily blocked the government from sending scores of unaccompanied children back to Guatemala. This order came as some were already on board planes preparing to take off. Lawyers for some of the children say that they could face abuse if returned, while the Trump administration argues that this is being done in coordination with the Guatemalan government to reunite them with their legal guardians. My panelists here, along with CNN's Kristen Holmes at the White House and CNN's Priscilla Alvarez in our Washington bureau. Kristen, let's kick it off with you. Take us through the president's plan for Chicago.
Yeah, Pamela, we're still learning more details about this. What we have heard from the governor is that there's been no communication between the White House and any officials in Illinois. The governor said in an interview that he believed they should be coordinating with him. But one thing we're hearing from the White House is that they're saying this is all about immigration. They're trying to find the line. They're saying it's not all the things that he said about crime, President Trump has said about crime, but this is about immigration in particular. Now, this is what we know is being planned for this Chicago operation, that the preparations are underway, and that includes potentially sending armored vehicles in the coming days, that ICE, Border Protection, and a surge of federal agents is expected by Friday, and the National Guard is going to be on standby. Now, the reason I point out
that was going to be there,
trying to make this distinction.
No, and here's the thing: I like ever since LA, I kind of called it out. I was like, yeah, Chicago, New York City, yeah, you guys are next. You guys are on the list next because you guys are the biggest offenders as well. Like, we're cracking down on all sanctuary cities and we're going from the top to the bottom. So yeah, Chicago, that makes sense. And guess what? The people of Chicago is complaining about the immigrants. And you know which people? The black people. Yes, the black people who are also being